Okay, good afternoon to everybody. Thank you for coming on this very miserable, wet day, and welcome to this afternoon's Norfolk Parking Partnership Joint Committee meeting. I welcome you for coming today, as I say, and also those viewing this on YouTube. This meeting is being held in person at County Hall and is also being live streamed on the County Council's YouTube channel. The recording will also be available to view afterwards. The fire alarm test is not expected during the meeting, but if the alarm does sound, we must evacuate County Hall. In the event of an emergency, please make your way to the nearest exit and meet at the muster point located on the main car park. As the Chair is unable to attend today's meeting, and as Vice Chair of the committee, I will be in the chair for this meeting. I would like to just remind you, the Joint Committee, that under its terms of reference, meetings may proceed without the County Council member in exceptional circumstances, provided that the member has given written agreement. Councillor Graham Plant has confirmed by email that the meeting can go ahead in his absence, and we have his substitute, Councillor Fran Wymark, present today as the County Council Executive Member. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the agenda. The first item is apologies and substitutes.
Thank you. I have apologies today from Councillor Graham Plant, who is substituted by Councillor Fran Wymark, Councillor Simon Ring, Councillor Lucy Shires and her substitute Councillor Tim Adams and Councillor Daniel Camden.
Thank you. Okay, we've got minutes. We're in the papers. I hope everybody has had a look at those. Are you all happy that they're accurate from true record of the last meeting? Obviously, I wasn't at the last meeting either, and I know, Fran, you weren't, but is everybody else happy with that? Yep, silence is golden, so that's fine. Thank you. Do any members have any items to declare any interest? I'll just declare another interest. I'm not sure if we're going to be discussing it much, but obviously it is mentioned in the papers. I hold a blue badge. Thank you. Next item is updates from Chair, where I have none. So then we move on to the main part of the agenda, which is the financial and operational update. And Ian Gregory, you're going to present that for us.
Lovely. Thank you, Chair. Due to the cycle of meetings, the regular attendees will know that this is the first report of this financial year, although we're halfway through the year. It's just because of the cycle of meetings. And the report summarises the financial and operational performance of the Norfolk Parking Partnership at a high level during the current 2025-26 year to date, and shows a positive financial forecast and further improvement on the prior year's outturn in a number of areas: additional back office savings and efficiencies, increases in permit income, and increases in some penalty charge notice income as well. In summary, the current position of the NPP CPE account shows a projected deficit of £15,493, and the present Norwich City CPE account shows a forecast surplus of 563,003p. And as I alluded to earlier, the figures presented in this report are based on half-year actual outturns combined with the remaining year forecasts and include the salary increases associated with the annual pay award. And this gives a combined forecast net surplus across the two accounts of £547,000, 510 against last year's combined outturn of 426,992. As usual, I hope all of you have received the papers, as per the Chair has said, and as is customary, we'll go through the report in turn, paraphrasing and drawing out the most salient points. And to maintain the flow and continuity of the meeting, could I please ask that you have the background to and the reasons for presenting this report, and confirms the current forecast year-end position for both accounts. Also of note is the forecast additional £55,000 in savings and efficiencies this year through further back office scale. Moving on to PCN income. Moving on to sections 4 to 4.2, the evidence and reasons reiterates why we have a regular NPP Joint Committee meeting, and includes the usual caveats and cautions really associated with a mid-year forecast. Although we try and be as accurate as we can with the Q1 and Q2 actuals and Q3 and Q4 forecasts, we always exercise some caution in case there are any variations that occur in Q3 and Q4 towards the end of the year. And as customary, by the March 2026 NPP JC report, we'll have a decline on that account in average income by about 31,500. Interestingly, this is despite an overall year-on-year increase of 7.8% in PCNs, and that's shown in Appendix C, which is the KPIs. We're going to carry out some further analysis of this to see if there are any underlying reasons why, and if we find anything, obviously we'll report back to a future Joint Committee meeting. The Great Yarmouth on-street pay and display costs are forecast to be a bit less this year as well, again reflecting a period of staff vacancies, and the on-street pay and display income at Great Yarmouth is 7,935. It's the end of year position, but that's looking better than it was originally. The residence permit scheme costs for Great Yarmouth and Kings Lynn are almost identical, within about £1,000, so not much to shout about there with last year's costs. And the permit income is up at both on the prior year, Great Yarmouth by just over 7,000 and Kings Lynn by a small £1,000. As usual, from that account, we take out an external capital fund contribution of £59,000 to help towards capital replacement costs like P&D machines and things like that. And we've also levied a £22,461 deficit enforcement contributions, appeals and permits is forecast to reduce again this year to streamlining. The PCN income, this is the one I really wanted to highlight, which is very, very noteworthy, is what the team have done in Norwich. The PCN income has already increased markedly this year compared to the same period last year, and that's described in Appendix C, the table there, but it's 26% increase less, and that includes the £55,000 that I alluded to earlier in the report. The on-street pay and display income, another noteworthy thing, is experiencing a year-on-year increase, and the cashless payments element of that compared to the cash element seems to be very, very popular and increasing. People like that, and that's increased the outturn by over 24,000 to 159,222. The residence permit income again is also up year on year, and that's due to a 21% increase in all permit transactions, and that's everything from scratch cards to all the variations. And there are a number of permit permutations in the city, but all are showing a very positive increase, giving rise to a forecast increase in income from 1,294,132 last year to 1,336,291 this year, which is just over £42,000 more, which is great. And the combined impact of these variations to the P&D and residence permit costs and income gives us a net surplus of 147,693, and that's an improvement of 128,500 on the 1,351,113 in 24-25. Missing out the bus lane enforcement because we don't report on that now. That was just there, for example, in the previous years, just for completeness. The combined impact of all the costs and income is a surplus of £563,000, just over, and a significant improvement of nearly £111,000 on the previous year's outturn. So that's a terrific forecast by any stretch. Just 4.9, as I alluded to earlier, just explains why we had to change some of the cells in Appendix A that have been shaded slightly darker in response to some late financial information received. So that just changed the bottom line figure slightly. 4.11 and to 4.14 refer to the latest set of year-end KPIs as shown in Appendix C. And although there are a raft of tables there, graphs and charts to look at, the main takeaways really are described in 4.13 and 4.14. If you look at that table on the first page in Appendix C, the historical PCNs issued across the partnership, as I said in my report there, if you look across to the November 2025 row, the cumulative PCNs are nearly 2,000 or 7.8% greater than the previous year. And the even more astonishing result is if you look at the underneath the Norwich column, it shows the year-to-date PCNs issued at 1952. This is 406 higher, 26% increase on the November 2024 figure of 156. So again, a very, very good outturn. Sections 5 to 10, as usual, are pretty explanatory, with section 9.1 confirming, again, the forecast net surplus of 547,510, and the available funding and options to mitigate and offset any financial risk, any financial risks, which we don't foresee at the moment. So in conclusion, Chair, another very positive mid-year forecast and projected set of year-end outturns, despite some operational challenges. And my thanks go out once again to all my partner colleagues for continuing to make this happen and the success and recognition that they and the partnership justly deserves. That pretty much wraps up my presentation in this December NPP JC report. So I'll now hand back to yourself for recommendations and any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Yeah, I was when I looked through this, it's very encouraging. So I would say, pass that on to all the team, really, and all the civil enforcement officers, and working hard. And no, it looks positive. Do we have any questions for Ian on anything? Fran.
Thank you, Chairman. And the question is really because of my lack of knowledge in this area, so you have to bear with me. So on Appendix B, but also it's in 4.8 as well, you're talking about the enforcement costs here for Norwich City is nearly 1.4 million. But there seems to be no, I don't see, like the enforcement is zero for the income there, for the PCNs. And I just wondered, is that just manpower that we're paying for? But I mean, there must be an income from that enforcement, obviously through the, the penalty notices, etc. But I just wanted to understand that a bit more, really, if you can explain that. Because that's a big lump of money and for apparently no income. But I'm sure there is an income there. But I'd like you to explain that if you could. Thank you. And just as some local knowledge, dare I say, in the bit in actually Appendix C around the performance indicators. You've got, Coltshall, Wroxham Road and Anchor Street there. I was actually over at Wroxham Road where we managed to eventually get the double yellow lines put in after various consultations. And a lot of them are covered up with leaves, so you can't actually see them at the moment. But people were still merrily parking on them on Saturday night. So I just wanted to make you aware that was the situation. So that's just for information. But the other one, it'd be really good if you could explain it to me. And I say it's down to my lack of knowledge, Chairman. So thank you.
No, that's fine. I'm sure Ian would...
Yes, happy to explain that, Councillor Wymark. There is a perfectly logical explanation to that, and as you say, because you're kind of new to the party, you won't have known the history to this. The enforcement costs are the boots on the ground. They are the CEOs. So that 1.393 million covers those and the team leaders, managers, that kind of thing. So that's to deliver the enforcement service in Norwich. The notice processing costs, the last 2 years are shown as zero because we transferred that function over to King's Lynn. So whereas we had two back offices prior to November 2023 when we transferred over to King's Lynn, so we had costs shown in there for Norwich as well as King's Lynn. But after 2023, there was a transition period when we had some costs in each, but that then dwindled to zero at Norwich, and all the notes processing now is done by Kings Lynn, hence the figures each year on the Kings Lynn notice processing cost line, which have increased a bit, as they took on the full function. So Kings Lynn now do the back office for the whole of Norfolk, and that element shown there in Appendix B is the cost that they incur when providing that function for Norwich.
Sorry, Chairman. So the enforcement there, say that's going to zero, 25, 26, is that the same then? That's then going from Norwich to Kings Lynn, so that's why that's going to zero. Okay, all right, so now I understand. All right, thank you.
Yeah, does that answer your question? It does, yes, thank you. Good, okay. Any other questions? No? That's good. So you got away with that, Ian. So everybody's obviously quite happy and satisfied with that. So moving on, we need to just have a look at the recommendations, which are, let's see what page they're on. I think they're on page 10, aren't they? 11, 12. Sorry, I'll get that. Yeah, page 12, the recommendations are. There's two there. So I need to have a show of hands to confirm agreement on review and comment on the latest 25-26 forecast outturn for the NPP CPE account. And the second recommendation is to review and comment on the latest 25-26 forecast outturn for the Norwich City CPE account. So if we can just have a show of hands for that. Yep, all good? Excellent. Oh, that was a very quick meeting, so I just say thank you for coming, and I wish you all a very Merry Christmas and see you in the new year. Thank you.